Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you are all doing fine. Today we're going to have a look at performance task. You're going to watch a video about it. Today we are going to study performance task. It is one of the most beneficial and important tasks, which is an integration of almost all skills. Writing this task will be beneficial both for proficiency exam and also for your departmental studies. So, what is a performance task? It's an integration of listening, note-taking, reading, and writing. While writing a performance task, you need to listen to lecture and take notes on the main points and important details. You need to read the given text or texts on the same topic, which are from a different perspective. What I mean is, if the lecture is talking about advantages of something, the reading might be talking about disadvantages of the same topic. And finally, you have to write a formal synthesis, summary of about 300 words, using your notes on the main points, and integrating necessary and relevant information from the reading text or texts. Here are some steps to follow in a performance task. Step 1. Listening and note-taking. In this step, you have to listen to the lecture and take notes. You need to pay attention to the definitions and explanations in the lecture. Focus on the keywords, signposts, and details in the lecture. Try to understand the topic and the subtopics. Pay attention to the order of ideas in the lecture. Take notes on the main idea of each subsection. And take notes on the important details, such as names, descriptions, numerical data, and examples of each subsection. Now, pause the video, turn to your performance task handout 1, page 2, task 1. Read the instructions and listen to the lecture by resuming the video. Task 1. You will hear a lecture on stress. While listening, take notes on the main points and important details. You will hear the lecture only once. As we move forward in the 21st century, the term stress is being used commonly by many people. Stress is a normal physical and psychological reaction to the demands of life. All of us experience stress at one point or another. Stress can result from a host of situations and pressures. These are called stressors. What may be a stressor for one person may not be for another. Different situations evoke varied types of stress, and the way of dealing with each type is discrete. Today, I'll inform you about the 4 kinds of stress and give detailed information on these. The first type of stress is time stress. Time stress is the most commonly experienced stress. As the name suggests, it is experienced when a person is worried about time. It makes the person stressed as time is running out to complete tasks. The person feels stressed, thinking that he or she will fail to reach a goal or a deadline. As a result, people who experience time stress often feel trapped, unhappy, or even hopeless. The second type of stress is anticipatory stress. Let me spell that for you. A-N-T-I-C-I-P-A-T-O-R-Y. Anticipatory stress describes stress that one experiences concerning the future. In other words, it involves worrying about the future. Sometimes the stress can be focused on a specific event, such as an upcoming presentation. However, it can also result from the unknown. One can feel stressed about things that may never happen. He or she can have an overall sense of dread about the future, or a worry that something will go wrong. This type of stress can cause a great deal of frustration. What is the reason for feeling frustrated? It's because there's nothing that can be done about it, and one has no control over it. Now, if you don't have any questions about the second type of stress, I'll move on to the third one, which is situational stress. Situational stress occurs when one is in an unfamiliar situation and has no control over it. Accidents or starting a new job can be given as examples of situations that lead to this type of stress. An emergency or a situation that involves conflict also causes situational stress. One feels stressed when something comes up and the person has to alter his or her plans to handle the situation. Well, this brings me to the last type of stress, which is encounter stress. This type of stress is associated with interactions with other people. In other words, a person experiences encounter stress when he or she has to interact with a person or a group of people that he or she may not like, or he or she might consider unpredictable. Encounter stress can also occur at work if a person's role involves a lot of interactions with customers or clients who might be dissatisfied, unfriendly, or unpredictable. Everyone suffers from stress at times, and everyone experiences it in his or her own way. The first step to overcoming stress is understanding stress. That enables a person to work more productively, build better relationships, and have a healthier life. Later, you will be using your notes. Now, let's move on to the second step, reading. In this step, you need to study the text or short pieces of texts related to the topic of the lecture. Identify the type of the text, like if it's an exemplification, if it's explaining advantages, analyzing causes, or explaining similarities, and so on. Then you have to determine the type of the relationship between the lecture and the text. Rephrase, paraphrase, or summarize the information in the related texts. And mention the important points as related to the information in the lecture. But be careful. One main point in the lecture usually doesn't have a reading text related to it. Here are some possible relationships between the listening and reading text. You can pause the video and have a detailed look at them. Don't forget, variations of these are also possible, such as listening to a lecture about the advantages or effects of a concept, then reading a text that exemplifies them. Now, pause the video, turn to your performance task handout 1, page 4, and do the task 2, parts A and B. You will have about 7 minutes to complete both parts. When you have finished the task, you can check your answers by resuming the video. Here are the answers. Now, step 3, writing. What is the expected format? You can pause the video and study the table. Don't forget, in order to write a well-organized and good performance task, you need to introduce the topic and the sources that are the lecture and the reading, present all the key information from the lecture precisely and clearly, incorporate all relevant information from the reading into the corresponding sections of the writing, accurately use a variety of language structures without exaggeration, correctly use a wide range of vocabulary, reword, paraphrase, or rephrase a relevant piece of information from the reading, but please don't copy it directly. You can use antonyms, synonyms. you need to keep the specific terminology, as you don't need to change technical terms. And please choose simpler grammar structures when rewording. And please never ever add personal comments and ideas. Now let's have a look at the outline. The first part is the introduction. In this part, you need to mention the topics of the listening text and the reading text by referring to both sources. Here are some phrases you can use. You can pause the video and have a careful look at these phrases. Here are some other structures you can use in your introduction. Again, you can pause the video and have a look at them. The second part of the outline is the body. In this part, you have to look at your notes and go over the reading to write the body. In order to do this, you must include the topic of the lecture and type of the information in it. You need to include the main idea and the important details of the relevant part from the readings. And you need to link your ideas using linkers, connectors, and transitions. Please note that if you have made a reference to the source of the information that you are summarizing in introduction, and while giving your first main idea, then you do not have to mention the source in the following paragraphs in your text. How to integrate information from two sources. First of all, you need to state the first main idea and its supporting details from the lecture. Secondly, you need to determine or identify the texts that are relevant to your main ideas from the lecture and include the necessary related information from them. In this stage, you need to use the point-by-point method to combine the information from two sources. So, you can pause the video and you can study the table below in order to understand what point-by-point method is. Be careful. There may be one extra main point in the listening text. This extra idea may not match with an idea in the reading text, but still, you need to include it in the summary. And finally, the conclusion. In your concluding sentence, you may restate the viewpoints of both sources. However, please note that writing a concluding sentence is optional. Now, pause the video, turn to your performance task handout 1, page 6, and do task 3. You will have about 10 minutes to complete it. When you have finished the task, you can check your answers by resuming the video. Here are the answers. After completing task 3, please carefully study the sample text, as it provides a good model for a well-written, well-organized, and well-structured performance task. You may use it as a model. To wrap it up, here is the basic outline structure. You can pause the video and have a careful look at it. And finally, here are some helpful tips that might be useful while writing your performance tasks. Please pause the video and study them carefully. And that's all for today. Thank you.